Hello, my name is Gracie, and I know a disgusting amount of information on all things music, especially pertaining to the alternative scene. I used to be obsessed with the band Escape the Fate growing up and all the drama that went on there. And about a month ago, I got back into it. So I've been yapping about it to a bunch of my friends. They've all been like, we don't care. So I figured there are people on YouTube who care, and I've been wanting to start a channel for a while because I like to talk. I like to talk about things. I like to talk about music, all of that raw. So here I am. And sorry if it talks like really weird. I tried to pierce my snake bite a couple weeks ago and now I have an ulcer in my mouth and it's infected. So that's really great. Please don't make fun of the way I talk. I also wanted to preface this by saying no hate to Escape the Fate or Falling Rivers. I love both bands with my whole heart and soul. I think they're both amazing. Obviously, I'm a big Escape the Fate fan. I love Max Green. He's so kooky. And ignore the mess in my room. I did just move into a new apartment. There are gonna be sirens. My apartment's right in the middle of the city. Right in the middle of the city. I'll probably show a clip of my view at some point because it's insane. But people might dox me, and this is a very easy city to tell from it. But whatever. Let's freaking get into it, guys. I have my notes here, and a lot of my sources, my information is coming from the user toppled on Tumblr. So I'm getting a lot of help from them. This post was made over a decade ago, so I highly doubt this user is still out there, but if you are, thank you for this amazing post you made. It all started when Mr. Ronnie Radke went to, I might butcher this name, Mojave High in Las Vegas, Nevada. So he went to Mojave High, and he ran away from home to start a band that was heavily influenced by the sound of Blink-182 with Ronnie's friend Mitch, and the band was called 3.0. So the band kind of only went for a short amount of time, and Ronnie ended up moving back in with his dad and restarting high school. So basically, Ronnie went to this talent show, and I guess Ronnie was performing on stage, and he dropped his mic stand, and somebody was there to be like, hey buddy, here's your mic stand. And that man was Max Green. And from there, Ronnie and Max Green became best friends. They were 15 years old and they became best friends. They were inseparable. And so they decided to start a band called True Story. They had a demo with a track called This Is Not the End. So they started that band. And then from there, they formed Escape the Fate because Monty Money, also known as Brian, his actual name, called up Max and he was like, hey, let's get a vocalist. I need a vocalist for the band. And Max was like, Ronnie Radke's right here. So it was a Ronnie, Monty, and Max. So then they were having auditions for drums, and then they picked Robert to be on drums, and then Escape the Fate formed. About a couple weeks later, Omar came in to play rhythm guitar for the band. So basically Escape the Fate formed, and they released an EP called, oh shit, what's it called? Oh, of course I didn't write down a note on this. I think it's called There's No Sympathy for the Dead, and it came out in 2006, I'm pretty sure. And then in 2006, they also came out with the iconic album, Dying Is Your Latest Fashion. Everyone knows it. Amazing album. 10 out of 10 perfect. They ended up signing with a record label because there was a radio competition, and it was being it was like kind of like a battle of the bands over the radio, and it was decided by My Chemical Romance who won, and My Chemical Romance obviously has always been huge. So they picked, I think they entered Not Good Enough for Truth and Cliche. I'm 90% sure. Also, if any of this information is wrong, just comment down below. That'd be really appreciated. I might get some of this stuff wrong. I did a lot of research from a lot of different sources. Some of this might be not right. So yeah, they ended up winning this radio competition. They got signed with Epitaph Records. I should know how to pronounce that because that's like an iconic signing label. But they ended up kind of blowing up from there, and they got pretty big, and all was well in the band. They were touring, they had blown up, they had amazing songs, they were doing good. You know, Omar ended up leaving. However, this is where stuff starts to go downhill for the band a little bit. So, you know, they were on tour, they were getting really big, obviously, as I said. My Chemical Romance literally, like, shouted them out. So, they're getting big, and so Max Green, the bassist, so to specify, Max Green is the bassist, Ronnie Radke is on vocals, Monty Money is on guitar, Omar was on rhythm guitar, and then Robert is on drums. So Max Green, the bassist, basically had a MySpace. Some girl messaged him on it, but then he deleted his MySpace. So it was like, whatever. He got the MySpace, he re-downloaded MySpace, and he saw these messages. This girl basically saying, I guess it was a girl he knew in high school, or a girl that him and Ronnie knew in high school, basically saying, you guys think you're too good and you're too famous now. You're too big to like care about any of the people that you used to be friends with or you used to know. And Max was kind of like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. So he does talk about this a little bit in a Las Vegas Weekly article that was a big thing back in the day. So this is Max's words. He said, obviously credit to Las Vegas Weekly. He says, it all started over this girl who wrote me a message saying, we're too good now to keep our old friends. We forget about everyone because we're so big, and I deleted her off my MySpace. I responded, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. When we were in Virginia recording, I deleted my MySpace, so when I started back up again, this girl took it the wrong way and wrote a big nasty message. I wrote her back, she wrote me back, and then Ronnie ended up seeing it. And from there, you see where it went. So obviously, I will get into that. So that's Max's words on exactly what happened. So how this whole fight that started the downfall of Escape the Fate happened. So basically, Ronnie saw this fight, and he was like, you're not fucking saying that about my band. So I guess he got in contact with this girl or people that she was friends with and was like, he's like, we're gonna fight this out. So that's what they did. They did fight it out. They fought it out in the desert near Shadow Ridge High School in the desert around 2:30 p.m. I don't remember the exact date. There were about, I would say, in one interview, Ronnie said that there were 7 people on the other side. I heard that there was 8 people on the other side. Doesn't matter. There were a lot of people on this girl's side. And then on Ronnie's side, Ronnie, it was just him and it was 2 of his buddies. For context, Max and the other guys in the band, but specifically Max, said, hey, let's not go fight these people. It's not fucking worth it. Like, you know, and obviously Ronnie won anyways. But yeah, so they ended up going. Imagine if he never went. That would just change so much shit. I think about that a lot. Max was basically like begging him not to go. It's not worth it. Everyone was telling him how stupid it was. He went anyways. He wanted to stand up for his band, whatever. So because there were so many more people on the other side that they were fighting against, people on Ronnie's side brought guns as just like a last resort way of self-defense. And Ronnie had brass knuckles, which is very important to this story. So obviously there was a dispute. People were fucking people up. It was a disaster. And it ended up an 18-year-old Michael Cook got shot and killed in the fight. So obviously now there is going to be legal action taken against these people. So Ronnie's friend who did shoot Michael Cook ended up getting off on the charges because it was self-defense. But they still needed a scapegoat for this crime, which is weird to me because in that situation it's like, well, it was self-defense. Shouldn't we just drop the charges altogether? I don't know. I don't know anything about legal stuff. I'm a nursing major. I don't know shit about this. They ended up convicting one of Ronnie's, the other friend that was there with Ronnie. This guy ended up hanging himself, so obviously he couldn't serve the time. So then they ended up pinning it on Ronnie, which was kind of crazy. I don't really know. Obviously, I said I don't know how legal stuff works, but that seems a little, you know. Ronnie ended up getting 5 years on probation for battery and carrying around brass knuckles, which is illegal. So later on, after this happened, so Ronnie's on probation, obviously. for 5 years. There's a lot of stuff you need to do with probation. You need to follow very specific laws as to not get thrown in jail, which we will see backfires for Mr. Radke here. Also, again, prefacing, I love all these people involved. Ronnie Radke, please don't make a video on me. I love you. Please don't. I'm literally begging. I'll cry. I'm very sensitive. Ronnie ended up getting kicked out of Escape the Fate for doing too many drugs. Like, he was becoming an issue, so they had to kick him out. He went to rehab, and Max reveals, which we will see later in I think it's a blog post or a MySpace post, where he says that he was the one who drove Ronnie to rehab. So he went to rehab for a little bit, and then he came back to the band. So Max was not this holy grail saint, though. Max did a lot of drugs too. We'll get into that later. They were friends since they were 15. They had a big problem with Oxycontin, pills, opiates, and then Ronnie did heroin and cocaine. So obviously not really good stuff. Yeah, they were kind of like drug buddies, as this Tumblr post says it, which I think describes it pretty well. They were there for each other. They were best friends. They were like brothers. They were tied at the hip. The sun is going down right now, so if the lighting changes and it becomes terrible, I apologize. Then Ronnie gets kicked out a second time. So he got kicked out in 2008 when he was caught with Oxycontin with Max. So then after his court dates, he was put on probation and then couldn't leave the state. So he's already on probation, then he isn't able to leave the state. So the band's kind of like, you're not able to leave the state. We're a touring band. You have a drug problem. You can't be in the band anymore. If you can't leave the state with your lead vocalist, like, either you don't go on tour or you need to find a new lead singer. So this is when it really all starts going downhill. So basically, and it says here that Omar ended up leaving the band, and he didn't even know that anybody even really cared about him being in the band until he left because of Ronnie's drug addiction. Everyone was so focused on that, and there was a lot of drama on that, so proving more the effect that Ronnie's drug issue had. The second time that Ronnie got kicked out, Max also left, but he joined again very soon after, so it wasn't really like a huge big thing. I'm trying to keep this not opinionated, but because I like both sides. I feel like in 2024 it's stupid to have like a Escape the Fate with Craig Mabbitt versus Ronnie Radke, which we'll get into, but I'm trying not to pick sides. I don't really have a side. I think it was just a lot of fuck shit that happened, and a lot of people didn't have a lot of control over a lot of the stuff that happens. Max made a statement on his MySpace bulletin. So this is on January 5th, 2008 at 5:09 p.m. and the subject is about recent rumors. This is the body. For those of you who have been fans of the band since the beginning, I'm sure you know about the history of Ronnie and why he had to leave the band before. If any of you really think that we are being mean or doing this for no reason, then you are sorely mistaken. In recent events, Ronnie has repeated his past and taken his bullshit to a new level. Just please bear with us, as we will be releasing an official statement very soon. But I can promise you that we are still writing and recording and not breaking up, and nothing will be delayed. He goes on basically saying, Ronnie's out, you guys know why, we're gonna keep making stuff. And then he says this: oh, and please don't send Ronnie any money, because you're just feeding the addiction, and you won't get anything he promises you in return. So here Max is alluding to something that he also talks about in the Las Vegas Weekly article that I won't really get into because it's not a huge part of the story, but he's basically talking about how Ronnie would heckle fans for money to fuel his drug addiction. And Max talked about how, in this interview, I'm pretty sure it was the Las Vegas Weekly one, how he would charge fans for pictures. He would charge fans to talk to him, like crazy amounts of money, like $200. There's a video somewhere, I'm sure it's been wiped off the face of the earth because it was probably recorded in like 2008, but of him like begging fans for $20, and Max is basically calling him out for that, being like, you're heckling fans for money, whatever. So during this time, when after Ronnie got kicked out, they had to look for a new lead singer, so they were searching, and they were having tryouts, and funny enough, this dude named Craig Mabbitt, who was from Bless the Fall, well, he ended up leaving Bless the Fall because I think he had alcohol problems and the band wanted him to go a separate way. So they're like, oh, Craig Mabbitt, where do I know him from? They did a tour with Bless the Fall. And look at this, believe it or not, Craig is choking out Ronnie in this picture the first time that they met. And this is foreshadowing. This is foreshadowing, guys, because they end up hating each other. They end up getting in the most insane MySpace beef I have, and IRL beef too. We will get here. They ended up giving Craig the role as lead singer. Obviously, he has a great voice, and they already knew him. So Craig and Ronnie actually used to be friends back when they did that tour. Like they were friendly. So not a lot was heard about Ronnie during this time. He was on probation. He didn't really post that much, but the stuff that he did post was definitely very potent. Like it was intense. From Ronnie Radke. Date 20th of May 2008, 7:39 p.m. Subject: hey guys, Max Green still does drugs. Here's the body. Oh, and if you guys hear my band's recordings, be sure to let Max, the 5'1" stallion. Oh wait, you could just message Omar, the Escape the Fate former guitar player that does not look like a Vietnamese hooker. He is the guitar player for my new band. Fans, don't let Max fool you. He's not as innocent as he makes himself out to be. I have live video proof dated recently of him having a real good time. And I mean a real good time. So Max, next time you decide to jump to conclusions, try looking into what's really going on. He posts again about Robert Writz. Did he play drums on the new albums? Alright, I'm really sick and tired of you guys hounding me about my new band saying it's not real, but fake. First of all, Omar is my guitar player. Second of all, Ross is playing drums on the new album. Third, Ross doesn't have a fill-in drummer. So stop talking shit about your sorry ass drum playing life and take some drum lessons. Enter. Loser. Period. Enter. There's no more information about the recordings I would like to share, but I can't. You used to be fat. Sorry. That's so funny. I made you into who you are today, Robert. This goes out to all the fans. You guys deserve the truth. Craig Mabbitt is a phony. I have the proof. He's a thief. Can't write his own songs. Can't write lyrics. But Jesus loves him still. Hey fans, can you spell Autotune? So pretty savage response from Ronnie there. And then Craig responds. The newest lead singer of Escape the Fate. He goes, Ronnie Radke, so I see you're posting bulletins out of jealousy and rage, or maybe you're just high. Frankly, I could care less, but if you have something to say, please feel free to reply to this bulletin instead of hiding behind your posts and fans that speak for you. Hope to hear from you soon, Ron. Heart. And then from there, there's a lot of stuff that happens between Craig and Ronnie, just fucking tearing each other to shreds. There's a clip of Craig on stage saying, oh, if you miss the old vocalist of Escape the Fate, you won't be singing for a while. He got caught in prison with heroin, which was not true and didn't happen. So I don't know where he got that information from. That was not true. Maybe it was a rumor going around at the time, but I don't know if Ronnie was in prison at this exact time, but I will get into that. Do not worry. So basically, this post is talking about the song The Flood. There's a lot to unpack about the song The Flood. I will get there. But Max ended up introducing the song The Flood as, if I could stay clean, I could stay with my band. Which kind of, I would say hypocritical, because Max was also doing drugs, but he was very open about that. And believe it or not, Ronnie was a barricade for that performance. So there's a video of it. I don't know if it's up anymore. I tried clicking on this earlier, didn't load, but Ronnie and a couple of his buddies were barricade for this show and basically like screaming profanities at them all the time, like, fuck you, you know how Ronnie is. He's not one to shy away from confrontation. And he was like, after Max said that, he was like, oh, I can stay clean. And then, so this is when Ronnie ended up, I'm not sure exactly where this falls in the timeline, but it did happen sometime around where I am in the story. So he ended up violating his probation, which obviously not good. You can't do that. I think, we'll get into what people say about it. So he ended up not meeting with his parole officer or coming to one of his court dates or something like that. So he ended up getting thrown into prison for 2.5 years, I believe. Wikipedia said 2.5 years. Interviews I've seen have said less time, more time. God fucking knows, I think it was 2.5 years. Just so much information. It's insane. It doesn't matter. It's arbitrary. There was a lot of misconceptions about breaking the probation. So this guy, he went by Nasty, which is crazy. So he was, I don't know, really his correlation with Ronnie doesn't really matter to the story, but you can tell he was probably not the best influence on Ronnie, because every picture he has with him, Ronnie looks fucking high out of his mind, and this guy has scratches all over his face. I'll show you. So this is them. Yeah, so ignore the fact that I'm holding a battery. I need something to fidget with. So Nasty ended up posting on his MySpace about Ronnie violating his probation. For the record, Ronnie didn't run. He forgot about his court date. It was court date, my bad. He lost what he had now because of something he didn't do. He didn't kill anybody, but the guy who got off clean without getting any kind of punishment. Ronnie was being punished because of who he is. He couldn't leave the state, so he can't be back in his band, and they all stabbed him in the back. And like Craig sang for them, because the band always did this for publicity, nor was he kicked out last time for doing drugs. That was all a cover, because the truth is Max does way more Oxycontin than Ronnie ever did, and still does. And Ronnie will not go back to them. Believe me, they have asked him to. And so this goes back to, once again, in the Las Vegas Weekly article about trying to get Ronnie back in the band. So this is an excerpt from something that Max said. Max says, "It sucks. We tried. I mean, fuck. Craig even tried to get him back in the band when he tried out for the band. But we gave him more than enough chances. When he went to rehab the first time, we gave him enough chance, and it was like, we tried to get him back. We tried to get him to play Extreme Thing, and he was stuck in that hole he dug himself in, and he couldn't get himself out. We were like, to Ronnie, listen, man, cut the bullshit." He and I lost contact for a while, and a couple weeks ago, 2.5, maybe 3 weeks before I came back to Vegas from Los Angeles, he had texted me on my phone. I told him, dude, if you're gonna start problems, I don't want to talk to you. And we ended up having a good conversation. Probably for the next 2 days after that, we had good conversations. You know, it just felt good to be friends with Ronnie again. I mean, I don't have any family here in Las Vegas. I haven't had family here for a long time, and Ronnie was my closest friend. We were each other's family. We were the only family either of us really had. We had each other and a backpack that we put our clothes in together. That was it. So basically, yeah, just following up on how they did try to get him back in the band. He was hiding from getting arrested, and then he was caught on June 15th, was sentenced to 18 to 48 months in prison. Basically, he wasn't completely compliant. I read somewhere that he was set up. He was trying to buy drugs from somebody, and it ended up being a setup, and the people caught him, and then he ended up going to jail because he was trying to run away from the fact that he did violate his probation. So he was like, oh, fuck that, I don't want to go to jail. Nasty, that guy, he kept updating Ronnie about Escape the Fate, and Ronnie was like saying the vocal sounded flat on the flood, which is funny because the flood is about Ronnie. It's like all the lyrics go, all because I'm leaving you behind. I feel the pressure, it's coming down on me, it's turning me black and blue. You left me on the side of the road, so I know the road. Sorry. It's definitely written by Max. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it is. Like, just because he had to leave Ronnie behind, like, he's being attacked for it. But, like, you're replacing your lead singer, and, like, he's gonna be pissed. Like, he's gonna be upset, you know? Obviously. Like, but I understand both sides completely. If I were in either position, like, I would understand both. Max basically further talks about how he did like a lot of drugs with Ronnie. He was not fully innocent. Like, he said about Ronnie, he said, I think that, and this is coming from years of being with this guy and experience, that he is not the one to think before he acts. He's not, and he never has been. As long as I've known him, he never thinks. I mean, I think what happened was unfortunate for the victims and it was unfortunate for Ronnie, but I believe in karma more than anything in this world. Karma is real, and karma will come back for you. And that guy's done a lot of bad things to a lot of people, and I ultimately think jail is the best place for him, where he is at right now. I mean, for myself, after doing drugs with Ronnie and shit like that and going to NA meetings, one of the first things they teach you have to, that's such a sentence. It's basically just saying, like, goes on to say, like, I hate to see Ronnie in jail, but I think it's where he needs to be. He needs to get better. He said some shit to me while he was, you know, under the influence, and it was like awful and scary to hear, like, as his best friend. And Max is not trying to make it seem like he's innocent and doesn't do drugs too, because in the Las Vegas Weekly article, he does say, I'm an addict too. Like, it's... So then, Nasty blogged for Ronnie while he was in jail. 7th of August 2008, this is where the beef gets beefy. So, to the fans, current mood, blessed. To all you wonderful fans who stood by my side, I appreciate you, and I get out in December. These court people are keeping me from going to Virginia to record my next album, but I'll have this figured out by then. I've had a lot of time to sit by myself and write the most ridiculous lyrics you've ever heard. Think you're all gonna love it. And you can write me at the Clark County Detention Center. Just go on their website, get the address and my inmate number, and you can send me pictures or whatever you want. It's always great to have someone to write to. And thanks so much to those who have been writing to me. I have hundreds of letters, da-da-da-da-da. Love you all. That's Ronnie's first post from prison. Then he goes on to post another thing. He goes, to the victim's family. Current mood, blessed. Hope you guys are all happy. You finally got what you wanted. Sitting there laughing at me in the courtroom. Thanks for that. Your snickers and laughs only make me a stronger person. But just know that an innocent person is going to prison for some shit that he didn't even do. True. And that would be me. If you think that I'm the guilty one, then you're just as bad for taking away my life. If revenge is what you want, then why don't you dig a little deeper and find the real root of evil instead of blaming it on one, whatever. He just keeps going on. Third blog entry, Max Green of Escape the Fate. This is to Max. That's the title. Current mood, blessed. And for you, Max, from your old buddy Ronnie, heart. You are the one that deserves to be in this position, and if your fans only knew who you really are. I love that shit that you wrote in Vegas Weekly, so I'm that guy now. And also, I loved how you wrote that message that you were gonna come visit me on the 4th on my MySpace comments, when you could have just written me a letter. You like all that attention, don't you? And I found out the reason you didn't come. You were talking to that kid's mom, that kid, the victim, Michael Cook, that kid's mom the whole time, stabbing me in the back. She said she went to your house the day before my court date, but I wouldn't have shown up either if I was playing both sides. You are the real reason I'm in here because you are too scared to fix your own problems. I just want to let you know, Maxwell, that your time is coming. Trust me, you're gonna get what you deserve. I'm more clean-minded than ever. Escape the Fate is me and will always be me, and you will forever live in my shadows. Sincerely, Ronnie Radke. Max responds, obviously, and he goes, to Ronnie Radke, formerly of Escape the Fate, current mood, fucking over it. And I like, all of Max's posts are in all caps. It just like looks like he's screaming at us the entire time. It's kind of iconic though. I really hope that Ronnie learns to take responsibility for his own actions because he never ever has. And that was always the reason for problems in the band. He went out to the desert that day, he brought a weapon, and he chose to not quit doing drugs. All the while, I practically begged him not to go while telling him it's not worth it and who cares, not go to the desert. And Ronnie knew that I was talking to Mike's mom because I told him so when we were living together, and told him that he should talk to her also because it might make things better. So I never played both sides. I wanted to help Ronnie. As far as me being the real culprit and deserving to be in prison instead of Ronnie, well, that's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard. I didn't bring a weapon to a fist fight. I didn't tell my friends to come back me up and tell them to bring their guns. I didn't steal my drummer's band's debit card and spend all of everyone's hard-earned money on drugs and then lie and accuse other people of it. And I don't have a record for drugs and some other shit. As a matter of fact, I don't have a record for anything. As far as people saying Ronnie needs a second chance, talking about like he's had a million chances, the fans know who I really am because I came clean on everything in the Las Vegas Weekly article. I don't have anything to hide. So I ask, how are my problems the reason you're in prison? Talking about releasing their new album, and basically ends it by saying, not your friend, Max Green. So these are like pretty savage responses to each other. Like they're going at it. Like you would not, from reading these posts, you would never believe that these guys were tied at the hip for 8 years. You know, Ronnie's trying to say, you went behind my back, and Max is like, no, you knew about it. And we will never know if Ronnie did know about it, if Ronnie didn't know about it. It's all hearsay. And he's saying, Max is basically saying, like, I didn't stab you. Like, the reason why I went to see her is because I was trying to help you. Like, I always had you on my mind. But from the outside, Ronnie's like, why are you siding with the ops? You know? So it continues on. Ronnie basically calls out Craig for banging his ex-girlfriend. And he says, quote, so tell me, how does my dick taste? And my microphone. How's it living my life? Must be pretty rad. I wouldn't know. Don't get used to it. Whatever. So he's talking about Mandy Murders. She was the girl with the vertical bray on the cover of Dying Is Your Latest Fashion. Iconic album cover that makes me want to get a vertical bray so badly. Mandy and Ronnie used to date. She was in the Not Good Enough for Truth and Cliche music video. There they are. And then there is Craig and Mandy. I have a lot I could say about this, but I won't because it happened 15 years ago and I'm trying to be nice. Then Ronnie says, another one. Well, Maxwell Green, current mood enlightened. You may say you are over it, but it has only begun. A storm is coming and you can't stop it. I would rather be in prison and happy because I know who I am and what I have become than in a band with a bunch of liars and backstabbers. Like I said before, I am your foundation. No matter where you go and what you do, I will always be in your head. You must not remember the day we were all at Omar's and you walk in with your seashell necklaces and Quicksilver t-shirts. After I got finished, you left looking just like me. 'Cause that's what you will always be, an image of me and what I made you. Oh, and one more thing. That's him flipping him off from prison. So that makes me laugh. So he's basically being like, Max, you stole my personality. 'Cause I guess I probably used to be like a basic. You can find pictures of Max back in the day. He used to have like a bleach blonde buzz cut back in high school. I get what Ronnie's saying, but also people change, people get inspired. And then at some point, Max temporarily changed his MySpace About Me section to basically, it's very long. And if you guys want to read it, I'm sure that's probably awful quality, but you can pause here and read it all. Basically, what the fuck was that? Basically, he's like, Ronnie, I've been your best friend forever. Like, I've done everything for you. I drove you to rehab. Like, I picked you up from jail. Like, everybody tried to get you back in Escape the Fate. I don't know what to say. Like, I tried with you. And Ronnie basically is talking a bunch of shit on them in prison too, saying that they didn't play their own instruments on This War Is Ours, but mainly talking about Robert. You know, like talking about that they didn't like play the instruments on their own album, exposing them for that. Who knows if that's true? It might not be. I'm getting a FaceTime call. I will be right back. Okay, sorry, I just got a FaceTime call. But yeah, so where I stopped is basically Ryan was talking about how they didn't they didn't record their own instruments for the album. So, and then he starts like kind of making fun of the band, calling Craig a bad parent because he had just recently had a kid, all that jazz. He said that Brian looks like I am probably gonna butcher this, Tijuana hooker. I mean, probably can't be a very nice thing to say. That making fun of Max for having a dead tooth, a green tooth, and saying that he's gonna call him Max Green Tooth. He's just kind of like doing some low blows, and that Craig has to fill in for him, and that they didn't record their instruments. So yeah, pretty much. Then it goes into like a lot of the songs that were written in jail about them, which is kind of all hearsay. This is talking about how Ronnie then got released from jail. He got released from jail on December 12th, 2010. So on December 24th, like Falling in Reverse was made kind of when he was in prison, I guess. I don't know. There's not a lot of information about that out there. I've tried to look it up. I can't find it. If you know, comment down below. But yeah, so it continues to talk about how like making fun of their looks kind of, and saying that Craig stole his look from Ronnie. So saying that this is how Craig looked before Escape the Fate, and then this is how Craig looked after he had joined Escape the Fate, which I personally don't really see a difference. I think he just got older. but hey, that was just Ronnie's opinion. So then it gets into Falling in Reverse's song Caught Like a Fly, which is, I love Max Green so much. He is Pookie Wookie. However, this is my favorite Falling in Reverse song. So it starts off with, I have a couple things that I would like to get off of my chest. Friends, who the fuck needs them? Haha, you know who you are. You know who you are. The song is about Max. The song is obviously about Max. Even if Ronnie didn't come out and say it was about Max, it's so obviously about Max. So he goes, caught like a fly in a web of your lies. Web of your lies might be going back to one of the songs that Escape the Fate wrote called Webs We Weave. That might be like alluding back to that. So caught like a fly in a web of your lies. Truth be told now, or to meet your demise. So how did it feel when you hold the knife that you stuck right in my back 1,000 times? Kind of referring to how he met up with the victim's parents while Ronnie was in prison. Then he goes on to say, well, if you don't know much about Max Green, he was basically abandoned by his father when he was around 2 or 3, when he was very young. So he was raised by his grandfather, was a kind of father figure to him, and he was super close with him. And so he had a rough relationship with his actual father and a very close relationship with his grandfather. So it goes, Ronnie says in his song, your grandfather would probably roll in his grave if he knew of the person that you had became. Then it goes on to say, you have left my heart black and blue just like your father did to you. I don't need to explain that. That speaks for itself. How does it feel knowing you're barely alive, seen through bloodshot eyes, you're left empty inside, whatever. Second verse, he goes on to say, and when you die, I won't be at your wake, no funeral from me, just a smile on my face. And while God might be busy with judging your soul, I will have slept with the girl that you love most. So Max Green used to date a girl named Lexis Amanda. She was like a MySpace legend, makeup artist. She was like, she knew everyone in the scene back in the day. She used to date him for a while, and they broke up. They were on and off, but they broke up. And so this is Max and Lexis together. Very cute, very cute. They're together. And then, oh, wait a minute. This isn't Max. Who's this? Who's that? Who's that? So yeah, Ronnie did that. That's pretty much all with the the intense drama. So basically, Escape the Fate basically like kept going. Whatever, you know, Falling in Reverse was doing their thing, Escape the Fate was doing their thing. Ronnie and Max were not friends. Ronnie and Escape the Fate were not friends. There was beef. Max ended up getting he had a bad drug issue, but it got worse, and he ended up overdosing in 2010 in November, and then he came back to the band shortly after. He got better. I think he went to rehab. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure, but he ended up coming back to the band after his overdose. There's a clip of him, I don't know where it is, it's somewhere on YouTube. It has like 80,000 views, and it's him passing out on stage from drug use. Max ended up saying that he had left the band in March 4th, 2012 on his Twitter account, saying that he wasn't going back to the band. However, in future interviews, there's a Bury the Hatchet interview, which is in 2014, 2015, I think, with Craig Mabbitt and Ronnie Radke, and they're hanging out and they're talking and they're doing an interview. And Craig talks about how Max got kicked off for his drug usage. Basically, one of the crew members, or somebody who was, I think it was a tour manager maybe, said, we are going to go to our next tour location, but the bus will not move unless Max gets off of it, and Max leaves the band. So Craig basically said, you need to leave, dude. Craig and Max were best friends too. He was like, you need to leave. And obviously Max was not happy to hear that, so he wasn't really like consolable during that time. Apparently Craig tried to give him a hug. Max did not want to give him a hug. So, and then like that. Then shortly after, Ronnie wrote, he said on record that he woke up one day and he realized that it wasn't healthy to have all this heavy beef hanging on his shoulders. So he was like, I'm gonna email Max. So he texted someone who knew Max, got Max's email, and ended up getting Max's phone number through that, and then him and Max started texting, and you know, they kind of like reconciled, like they kind of started talking again like they were friends. And then they did an interview for Alternative Press in 2013. I have it pulled up on my YouTube right now. August 1st, 2013. So that is when they made up. So they did an interview together, and Max was getting sober, and it's basically like a whole interview. You can watch it, it's 3 parts on YouTube. It was a whole interview about sobriety and stuff like that. Max getting sober, Ronnie getting sober, and basically how like the turns have tabled, and Ronnie kind of had to be like, Max, you need to get your shit together. And then Max ended up getting clean for a while. A couple days after this interview came out, I'm pretty sure because they talked about it in the Bury the Hatchet interview, the band was like, hey dude, like we want you back in, like we see you're doing better, you can come back. So Max came back in 2013 to the band. Monty had refused to go on tour. The reasons for that are unknown. I tried to look it up. Craig heavily implied that he was just a flake and known for doing this, but there might be more to that. That's something I don't know anything about really. And then in May 2014, Max ended up leaving again. So in 2013, though, a little bit before he left Escape the Fate, he kind of started like a side project called Violent New Breed. And that was like his own band that he had founded. And it was kind of more, it was more like rock based than like the post-hardcore that Escape the Fate kind of was. Please, people in the comments, don't fucking come at me for getting these genres wrong. I know they're probably wrong. Actually, Escape the Fate isn't post-hardcore. I don't care. Like, I'm just trying to describe it. I'm sorry. That's defensive of me, but one time I commented on a TikTok and I was like, oh, Pierce the Veil, their early stuff is super post-hardcore. And they're like, no, they're pop punk. I'm like, Pierce the Veil's not pop punk. He started Violent New Breed, and Violent New Breed made music for a decade. They were together for a decade, and they stopped making music in 2022, I believe, and then officially announced that they were disbanding for creative differences. Who knows what that means, in 2023 on their Instagram account. So, and yeah, the Bury the Hatchet tour was in 2014. You know, Ronnie did a song with Craig. They ended up making up, I think, and it was all on Ronnie's accord because he was the one who pretty much, you know, was like, fuck you guys, I don't want anything to do with you. And then he ended up burying the hatchet. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. You know, Craig still in Escape the Fate. They have a new bassist, new guitarist. The only original member that's still in the band is Robert. Max is not in any bands currently. He is married. I'm pretty sure he got married in 2022 to a girl named Bianca. Hey guys, please ignore the way I look. I'm not wearing any makeup, but I'm editing this video. Max's wife's name is not Bianca, her name is Monica. The only reason I said Bianca is because I follow an editor on TikTok and they make a lot of Max edits, and her name is Bianca, so her name is Monica. Sorry about that. They're very cute together. Yeah. And Ronnie, obviously, Ronnie is off doing his Ronnie things. Falling Reverse is one of the hugest alternative bands in the world. They've blown up. They just came out with a new album a couple days ago. They had a song, I was listening to it right when it came out, called Prequel. He said, you can say I escaped my fate. And when I tell you, the neurons in my brain started going fucking insane. Escape the Fate mentioned. Oh my god. I was losing my mind. But yeah, they're also going on tour soon. I really wish I could see them, but they're not coming anywhere near me. They're coming 45 minutes away, but I don't have a car in the city. I don't like driving in the city, so yeah, that's pretty much the emo beef. Something was in the air in 2008, I'm telling you. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Sorry if I rambled a lot. Yeah, first YouTube video, so I hope I did my best, but I hope you all enjoyed. If I missed anything, leave a comment down below. If I like said something that wasn't true, leave a comment down below. But don't make fun of me because I am so incredibly insecure. All right, love you all. Stay freaky.